This situation genuinely fascinates me because just when you think people are starting to learn their lessons and figure out where they belong in this world, you realize, no, at the end of the day, people always fall back to what they know, tried and true. And when it comes to the Concord lead developer, originally from Firewalk Studios, the professor decides she's back. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. You would think after working for a company, being the lead dev of a team that put together a game that lost Sony a reported over $400 million, that you might take a little bit of time off and reevaluate your life choices and think, maybe what I'm doing over here isn't the right career path for me. But then again, doing that sort of thing requires self-reflection. The one thing people like Lisa Brown don't have. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down Lisa Brown returning back to the workforce and looking for a job in the game industry, after she ended up costing Firewalk Studios the entire company. And sure, of course, she didn't do it by herself, but she's someone that led the charge of wokeness over there, and you gotta think, yeah, they had a heavy hand in it. Lisa Brown, or more infamously known as Professor Brown to her now former colleagues, is out once again hunting for a new job in the video game industry. Rather than taking the proverbial hint and pivoting to a different career path and exiting it entirely, she's now decided that nope, it's time to double down and go for broke while making her triumphant return. Despite a disastrous tenure at Firewalk Studios, she is now somehow undeterred, ready for whatever comes next, because people like this can't take a hint. She may be extremely talented. She might know everything about how to develop a game. But when it comes to injecting woke ideologies into video games, it's not something that sells. According to my insider source contacting me, her presence at Firewalk Studios created an extremely hostile work environment. And this is something that I spoke about in great depth previously, earning her the label on the team of Walking HR Nightmare. Lisa Brown, who goes by Wordle on Twitter, and it's now protected after I called her out with these allegations, she's a developer at Firewalk and recently declared themselves as non-binary and required all coworkers to refer to her as the professor within the workplace. And the source was telling me that if people would not want to refer to her as that, or didn't feel comfortable with it, then their job would be in jeopardy. Meaning that this person had their pronouns pushed to the point of calling them something that they have not earned before. They didn't have any degrees or accomplishments to be called professor. They just decided one day when they woke up saying, I'm a professor now, and people should start calling me that. Employees reportedly walked on eggshells anytime they're around her, unable to function in the toxic atmosphere that she fostered. If people didn't address her as the professor as she demanded, then she would walk over to HR or send a message to them, letting them know, reporting you specifically, saying that you are conflicting with how her ideologies are, what her pronouns are, what she demands to be spoken to and addressed as, and because of that, you need to be written up and pushed out of the company. This is the type of person that reportedly Lisa Brown is. But no, don't worry about all that, because she's a developer and we should just ignore all the other stuff that comes along with that baggage because she can develop games? Yeah, games that end up costing a company a reported $400+ million, then burning the entire studio to the ground. But yeah, sure, she can make games. But again, take this all with a grain of salt because it's coming directly from an insider that reportedly worked at Firewalk Studios, worked directly hand in hand with her, and saw just how bad the situation was. Not only did Concord flop completely, but Firewalk Studios itself has now been shut down, and all customer purchases were refunded, and Concord itself was taken offline forever. It's hard putting all that together to fathom how someone with that track record on their resume would even consider to resurface in the video game industry, yet here we are, about 1 month removed from the crater that was created from the Concord disaster. And this is one of those things that I've talked about previously, where it was an opportunity for people like Lisa Brown to look at their life and the choices they've made to get to where they are, and maybe, I don't know, reassess, reevaluate, and change your career path to get away from something that you are proactively destroying. But no, people always fall back to what they're comfortable with. Lisa's LinkedIn profile boldly describes her as principal gameplay designer with history working in the AAA console and indie spaces. She highlights her experience with character kits, weapons, accessibility systems, and gameplay feedback systems, and touts her commitment to mentorship and continuous professional development, but mentorship and collaboration seem questionable given the accounts of her behavior when she was working at Firewalk Studios, which was another story that was told to me by this insider, how she would often put together these meetings, calling it mentorship, where she would sit people down and speak down to them and force them to address her as the professor, establishing a kind of relationship where it's like teacher-student. But these people were all colleagues on the same level, but she still tried to push people down to raise herself up. In a recent LinkedIn post, she said, "The new year is nigh, and I'm back in the job hunt game. I'm looking for senior positions in gameplay design, game feel, 3Cs, and gameplay-related accessibility. Hit me up, down to clown," which is weird enough on the surface when you're looking for a job, but I get it. The game industry is kind of counterculture and that kind of thing can fly. So I'm not going to knock her too much for that, but at the same time, given her history and then putting that at the end of it, it's just kind of like, you gotta step outside yourself and realize that you are the problem. That's why you lost your job at Firewalk Studios. That's part of the reason why Firewalk Studios shut down. And that's why you probably should be looking for a job in a completely different industry. It's just wild to me that she's looking for a senior position after completely destroying a studio. And again, it doesn't 100% completely fall on her head, but a good amount of it does. This was a prominent figure at the company that forced other people to adhere to her rules. And because of that, she pushed a lot of people out of the company, made them feel uncomfortable, and by default, took more ownership upon her shoulders. For someone whose last project caused such massive losses and industry-wide embarrassment that it set the industry back decades, you think that she'd realize that she was hitting rock bottom and needed to finally look in a mirror, self-reflect, and wonder what she was doing wrong, take accountability, take ownership, and understand, okay, let me reevaluate what I was doing wrong and be a better person moving forward. And then you look at her LinkedIn and her name's Professor. Okay, she still has Prof Brown instead of Lisa, which, just looking at that, tells me she hasn't learned a damn thing. Lisa's continued insistence on being addressed as Professor Brown rather than her actual name, ironically, reportedly part of the same problem that was happening at Firewalk Studios with her, is, according to my insider, a quirk that wasn't just a playful nickname. It became a focal point of her ego and directly contributed to the hostile workplace that people didn't want to be a part of. And instead of fostering collaboration with her teammates, her behavior alienated her peers and turned routine work interactions into a complete socio-political minefield. This was the problem at Firewalk. I could only imagine another company out there, a game studio specifically, looking at the situation and just being like, yeah, we're going to ignore all the baggage that comes along with you and bring you on because you are a seasoned pro developer? If Lisa's LinkedIn is any indication, she seems eager to bring some of that same baggage with her to the next role, as if she hasn't learned anything at all. Her plea for senior positions in gameplay design and gameplay-related accessibility might resonate with some studios desperate for experienced designers, but the industry needs to take a hard look at her track record and realize that this could actually be extremely detrimental to their own company bringing someone like this on board. Which is why I take a big step back from all of it and say, you know what, okay, I don't want to just be hammering Lisa Brown and saying she's horrible and shouldn't be hired and shouldn't work in the game industry at all, because maybe the rumors that I've heard are wrong and this insider is completely off base. Maybe she's a great person and I've never interacted with her, so I don't know that personally. Okay. But based off of the surrounding circumstances and seeing what transpired at Firewalk Studios, if I was Lisa Brown right now, I wouldn't be doing what she's doing. I would instead be taking my expertise, personally solo to an indie dev, or creating my own company right now, creating a game and showcasing it to everyone else, using this as an opportunity right now to showcase my skills and prove to the world that I'm a talented developer that can make an incredible game experience, and I don't need a AAA company to support me with a paycheck because I'm going to prove to everyone else that I can do this on my own. But then again, people like this can't do that. That's why they go insidiously invade these companies, destroy them like a cancer on the inside out, to the core, cutting it and ruining them, and making the money, and then moving on to the next company and doing it all over again. Her statements of committed to mentorship and down to clown aside, Lisa Brown's next employer is going to need more than just luck if they're going to be bringing her on. The ripple effects of Concord's failure and Firewalk's closure are still being felt to this day, and bringing her on board would potentially spell disaster for any studio making that leap. The video game industry is tough enough as it is without taking on walking HR nightmares, and in my humble opinion, Brown's next job hunt should involve a different industry altogether. For now, I'm going to be watching to see who dares roll the dice on someone like Lisa Brown, but whoever ends up with this person is going to have all eyeballs on them, because it's going to be very curious to see if this was Firewalk Studios undoing themselves, or more likely, the people working there. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com for the full article. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
A student gives me a business card with like programmer, writer, designer. I'm like, this person doesn't know what they want to do. So, because I've been there, I was there. But a thing that solidified my role as a designer is at the same time as this project, I was, there we go, taking, the game design class at the same time. And the reason I took this class was I heard a bunch of people in my class saying that they wanted to be game designers, and I was like, I don't really understand what game design is, so I'll take this class to learn. And what happened was I got into the process of doing game design, and I discovered, ooh, I really like this problem set. Smash, Smash,